Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time once again for the Wrestling News Weekly here on the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. I am, of course, Nick. I am joined by my buddy Byron.
Hello, I'm Myron. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Well, buddy, it's been a crazy
morning.
Yeah, it's morning, man. Jeez, this has been a crazy week. I mean, here we are. We're in the home stretch for Christmas, man. Me and you are just two brothers trying to survive the Christmas thing, right?
Yeah, it's I can get no more retail. No more retail. I just want a job doing something else.
Well, hopefully, we get the thousands and thousands to become millions and millions, or hundreds of thousands. We can become the,
I want me some of that Conrad money.
Yeah, I want a little like Conrad, Thompson, Bruce Pritchard, Tony Schiavone money, man. We can hang up our boots and quit working, right?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to do that anytime now. The day it comes. I guess I'll work out a notice if I have. It'd just be nice, but man,
that's always like if you hit the lottery, would you actually work out a notice, or would you just?
Depends on how much of a lottery I hit.
Yeah, if you hit 25 million or something like that, they're just going to find the keys laying outside the door and be like,
I'll just throw them into the grate.
Yeah, there you go. They're inside there. Figure it out, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
But man,
I'd have to cash the check first though.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, man. I know you're not a big pro football. I was going to ask you about this past weekend. Did you see all these controversies about is it a catch? Is it not a catch? I mean,
I saw the controversies, but I was working, and between that and having to come home and getting into the pay-per-view, it's like, well, I really don't have a chance to see this stuff. So I didn't get a chance to see what they were talking about. I kept seeing the is that a catch popping up on Facebook.
Yeah, it was a big stink with the whole, Pittsburgh thought they had the touchdown to win the game over, at the end. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They got bobbled. It's crazy. We had this long conversation at the office yesterday, believe it or not, where it was, my stance on it's simple. If you'd have asked me from the eye test, is it a catch? It's a catch. But based on how the rule is written, it's not a catch. The rule is stupid and I don't like the rule, but it is the rule.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those, like, it's a lot of times I always say it's things we tell our kids. It's because that's the rule. That's my stance on it. It's sure it's a catch, but it was what it was. But yeah, I'm a big, obviously, fantasy football guy, pro football, college football, all that good stuff, and this whole weekend, man, that seemed like that was the big stink around, man, everybody was arguing about that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of college football, I'm just hoping that it becomes Georgia and Alabama in the championship game. Not because I'm the hugest Georgia football fan there is, but Conrad and Tony are talking about doing a show here in Atlanta, and I would absolutely die to get to see that.
Yeah, there's not much of a price. I don't know what I would pay to go see that.
Yeah.
So hopefully we do. But knowing our luck, they would both let us down, and it'll end up being like Oklahoma and Clemson, and so it would be irrelevant. But yeah, I mean, truth be told, I'd rather face Alabama than I would Clemson.
Yeah.
So it's scary, but.
Well, you know what you get with Alabama and Clemson is really unpredictable.
They're just good. I mean, they're just really good. They scare the bejesus out of me, but man, let's get into some wrestling stuff, and it kind of relates to what we were just talking about, man. We're going to talk a little football, right? Rumors flying around this week that Vince McMahon wants to revive the XFL.
The XFL. Yeah. The Extreme Football League. Whoa. The massive failure.
Would you argue that's Vince's ultimate failure? That's his biggest failure?
Yeah, I would have to say so, because the restaurant really doesn't count. Because that was just a venture. What I would be scared of is Vince still trying to get his win back, for lack of a better way to put it, where he has to go back and try to get what you see as a failure. He has to go back and reclaim that. And if that happens, good God, just tell him what he'll try to redo.
Well, but think of it this way, man. It's all this backlash, which with from the NFL right now, that people are talking about boycotting. I mean, is there enough to create another audience? I mean, that they could have it. I mean, especially with, let's go ahead and get into the meat of it here. I mean, everybody's always asking, oh, so the WWE is getting back into football. Well, actually, no. They WWE / Vince McMahon, all those guys were pretty clear to note out that he started a separate new company. It has nothing, it's completely separate from WWE, because you got to remember, if he does it under the WWE banner, he's got to answer to stockholders and he's all that good stuff.
Yeah.
If he goes over here and does it on his own, then he can do whatever the hell he wants to with it.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Well,
as
he
Cornette
did.
says, you can't tell people who have been so successful, like Vince has, that you can't do something.
Right.
I mean, seriously, what are you going to do? You're like, oh yeah, you can't do this, but you've got all this money and you've got all this and you've been successful so much at so many different things that you can just, you can't do this. You're not qualified. No, he's Vince. He's going to do it. He's going to give it a try.
Yeah, well, he started a whole other company. We were saying, it's Alpha Entertainment. He's even filed a couple trademarks, man. It's the URFL, the UFL, the United Football League, and the phrase "for the love of football" he's trademarked. So, I mean, if he's trademarking stuff, he's seriously considering something.
Yeah. And the odd situation that him and Donald Trump might be involved in this business together.
Well, Donald Trump's got all the pushback from the NFL right now because he's been a big, I don't know what the word, he's been a big, opponent to them, with the whole kneeling and all the controversy there, which we're not going to get into, but he's, with their friendship that they obviously have, could Donald Trump kind of be backdooring his way into a couple of years when he's not the president anymore, that him and Vince are running a football league together or something?
Yeah, I would really not want to be involved in anything Donald Trump's backdooring into. But the two of them together doing business is scary. Trump's been in football before. And it's, the USFL. He drafted Herschel Walker, didn't he?
Yeah, the New Jersey Generals. He was the owner of the team. And, of course, a lot of people blame Donald Trump for the demise of the USFL because he wanted to move it to, the fall and go head-to-head with the NFL. And
Yeah, that was the worst decision they could possibly make. Maybe he's taking over arena football. Who knows? It'll be interesting to watch. And I'm not talking about the games. It's going to be interesting to watch the progression of this because it's, I don't know. I'm not saying I would sit back and just be, waiting on them to fail, but it's going to be an interesting breakdown on this to see how they can do it. If the two most massive egos in the world can put something on.
Well, I think you may not be caught up in the sport as much as the spectacle, right?
Yeah, I'm a spectacle guy. If I want to see sport, I watch college football. I don't really watch the NFL for sport. It's spectacle. The whole thing with the end of the year and the Super Bowl and all that, that's all spectacle. And I would be more, especially anything with Vince involved in, I would be interested. But this whole thing could be a work when you think about it. Donald Trump could have got elected just to put over the football league. Look who we're dealing with, okay? We're dealing with a casino guy, a showman, and Vince McMahon together. Everything's got to be at work. Every little piece could be at work.
Vince worked the American people with a worked president.
The entire thing's at work.
Never know, man. Stranger things have happened, such as this past weekend, or last Thursday for that matter. Bar Wrestling had their Christmas show. And the world's cutest tag team, Joey Ryan and Candice LeRae, were in a 6-man match with their partner, Santa Claus. Yes, I said that.
Yes. And
in their corner was Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone.
Well, I mean, it's a Christmas type thing. I can see that.
Well, the strangest spectacle of all, or part of all of this, is Culkin gets involved. He actually rolls a bunch of balls into the ring so the heels flip and fly like they did on Home Alone. Then he gets into it with Swoggle. There's a confrontation there, and with a little help from his partners, they pull off a paint bucket on a string thing to knock out, some of the guys. And then they basically kind of, the old, body slam off of the top, like the splash move. They kind of do that, but it looked really, cause it was Culkin getting thrown on top of Swoggle. But it was funny. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, it was funny.
Yeah, this was quite the big controversy yesterday on Twitter with Jim Cornette weighing in on the whole situation, and it was him and Jody Ryan and Ryan Satin had a good little thing going, and Conrad even noticed this, and Conrad was like, "Twitter was invented just for Jim Cornette."
Yeah,
it's a good point, man.
Now, I don't want to. I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, let you finish your thought. But if you haven't seen it, that's actually where I came across it. Was Ryan Satin's, PW sheet. Yeah. I came across it there. So there's video there if you want to see it. I just want, go ahead now. But I just want to give credit that's where I saw the video from.
Yeah. It's, I'm a Cornette guy, but I don't hate Joey Ryan. I don't hate Ryan Satin. They're entertaining. Are they ruining the business? They're ruining a business. They're not ruining today, in my opinion, they're not ruining the business today because the business today is different. I don't ever want to disagree with Jim Cornette and call him, I'm not calling him out, Jesus. No, I'm not stupid enough to do that. But I'm just saying, the business that they would have killed doesn't exist anymore. It's different. The cat's out of the bag. I don't have to see a high spots match, but they're doing something different, and it's made it interesting for people who never followed wrestling. And today it's making people watch. So I can't complain. It's different.
Totally different. I mean, and that's like I said, we have this conversation all the time that the wrestling that we all knew and grew up, it probably essentially died. And, if it ain't dead, it's on life support, back in, somewhere in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
If not,
and you can see it on some indie shows, you can catch it on some indie shows where it's old school and it's great. And I enjoy that, but it's a big world right now and just things are different for lack of a better way to put it.
I mean, cause you can get, like you said, you can go to your, we're here in the Southeast. You can go into an indie show in the Southeast and see old school wrestling. You can go up north or you can go out west at PWG, see the high flying stuff, which we'll get into some of that later.
Yeah.
But so everybody can find what they want because there's so many promotions going right now, which is a great
thing. Exactly.
But, and we're going to get it. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and start diving into it because I want to start with asking you about it. Ring of Honor Final Battle went down this past weekend.
Yeah.
First off, I want to say, if you want to hear the full recap of it, check out the Pro Wrestling Personified, the Ring of Honor NXT edition. Lewis and Luke both do the recap, so it's all there if you want the breakdowns, the in and outs of the show, because that's kind of not what we do here. But we do want to say kudos to Dalton Castle defeating Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
A new look Cody Rhodes, by the way, with the blonde hair, which is pretty freaking cool.
What is Cody? He's still the American Dream, or is he the natural?
He's the American Nightmare.
But he's the American Nightmare.
He's the natural American Nightmare. There you go.
Okay, now he's got the hair like his brother and his father. I can't enjoy this anymore. I really anything Cody's doing to me right now, anything he's doing is super interesting, and I enjoy it because he's doing different stuff. He's going out there and he's making this whole thing on his own. I don't think I don't think anything's been better recently than what Cody. Now you can say, "Oh, he's not the best wrestler," and you can say this and that, but Cody's doing something different, and he's out there doing it on his own, and he's pretty much making his own rules. He's probably got more creative control than anybody since Hogan in the WCW days. So I like it. I'm a big fan of it. Well, he's new. He's fresh.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and we all, there was a guy who was not a fan of the whole, it wasn't the show, because and I want to clarify that, which was kind of funny. because a lot of people called him out. Let's go ahead and discuss it. MMA fighter, UFC guy, Daniel Cormier. During the Final Battle pay-per-view, there was a match with the Hung Bucks, Adam Page, and who's been on our show, by the way, in the archives. Yes. You can go find that interview. But you got Adam Page and the Young Bucks in a 6-man versus, Dragon Lee, Flip Gordon, and Titan. Mm-hmm. Well, the match had a sequence that was apparently too flippy for Daniel Cormier's taste. So then the tweets began.
Well, go ahead. Talk about
I'm going to read them because I didn't want to screw this up because Daniel Cormier kicked my ass and so could Cody Rhodes. Basically, Daniel Cormier said, "This is actually pathetic. This is what people want to see. Go to a goddamn gymnastics competition. Suplex, body slam, pile driver, do some old school wrestling, man. DDT. I mean, I remember when the Frankensteiner was the most you'd ever see someone flip. I say boo to this." So clearly wasn't a fan.
Okay.
Cody responds on Twitter, mind you, so the world can see. "It's not pathetic. The paying audience enjoyed it. UFC's thriving and pro wrestling's been going strong since 1920. Besides, most of y'all, I'm going to put in parentheses, MMA fighters, ask Hunter for a job when the wheels fall off anyway, and most are on the comp list at Staples. Comp tickets at the Staples Arena in LA, by the way. So lay the fuck off." All right. Cormier responds, "I do ask for comps because I'm a fan. I didn't say anything about anything but that sequence of the match. Just be careful, bud. I've been a fan of yours too, but be very careful. Lay off the cuss words. It's not that serious, and I won't need a job. I'm good." And at this point, kind of, there were people coming in to bash him about MMA. He's not that good. And there was one that I saw that I'm not even gonna, it's funny. I didn't keep it. But it was a guy saying like, "Oh, you don't want to call out an amateur wrestler like Cody when you're just kind of a striker," and I'm like, dude, easy. Don't believe the work that much. I mean, Cody's an amateur wrestler, but slow your roll a little bit. So long story short, to wrap it all up, Cormier comes back with basically a response. It was on MMA Junkie Radio. So I just want to make sure I had it clear. It said, "Listen, I'm a big time wrestling guy. I like watching that shit, and I know a lot of people who make fun of me because of it. But I didn't like that particular sequence of the match, and I'm going to say it. And if I want to say it on Twitter, I'm going to say it on Twitter. All those guys get all butthurt about it, and I'm like, hey guys, not everybody's going to like everything you freaking do, so just shut up." He said, "I told Cody to lay off the swear words because when you start cussing like that, you're pretending to be serious, and you don't want to be serious with me." Basically saying, don't call me out because I'll, come kick your ass. That's essentially my translation from that.
If you saw Hornswoggle on a card, what would you expect to see? You expect to see funny, a dwarf wrestling, all kind of, just absolute wacky stuff. You know what the Young Bucks do. If you're going to watch a Young Bucks match, you know what you're going to get. If you're going to complain about a sequence in a match, complain about a match where you weren't expecting this kind of stuff. This is what these people do. You know what you're getting into. Don't watch the match if you don't like it. It's no point in complaining. You know what the match is going to be like. These guys do the same bit. Why are you going to bitch? That's just my take on it.
Yeah, it's not going to change. You're going to get what you're going to get. So
yeah,
I mean and I agree. I mean, I'm not a big flippy guy either. Everybody knows that. That kind of has been documented.
But I don't watch it.
Yeah.
You don't watch flippy wrestling because you don't like it.
Yeah.
You don't watch it and then complain about it.
Yeah,
that's the part that kills me.
I mean, I fast forward through. God help me, everybody's going to backlash me. When a lot of the 205 guys are on Raw, lots of times I fast forward through the match because it's just not my cup of tea. Sometimes I watch them. I mean, lots of times I watch them. I'm just saying, I'm honest when I don't always. If I'm like, I just don't want to see Gulak wrestle this guy or whatever, I'll just sit past it.
But you don't have to sit there and be forced to watch it just because it's wrestling.
Right.
It's, you know what you like, you watch it. You don't complain about it if it's not. you just don't watch it. That's the part that kills me about folks. Why take the time to watch something just so you can bitch about it?
That's in life in general. I think that's just a whole other thing. But I mean,
Yeah, good point.
but if you did like watching it, I mean, we always tell people, if, you could have watched Ring of Honor Final Battle. Where could they have watched it, man?
On the Fight app, the best way to watch Ring of Honor pay-per-views, Impact pay-per-views, all kind of indie wrestling, Colorado's best, Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. It's a lot of good stuff on there, man. It's to me, it's my favorite way. If I don't want to tune into the WWE product, if I want to go get something else, it's convenient, it's on my phone, it's easy to do. That's my thing. That's my jam, for as the kids say.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You can watch it in the car if you're not driving. You can watch it, anywhere, just hanging out. Hey, you get stuck at the doctor's office. I saw our buddy Bobby Matthews was stuck at the pediatrician's office for a couple hours the other day. Yeah, guess what you could have done? You could have watched Rocky Mountain Pro, Reality of Wrestling, Booker T's promotion. I mean, there's NWA promotions starting to come on there. Like there's one out of Florida that I want to get hooked up with those guys and talk to them soon. But yeah, there's lots of promotions getting on there, man. So Fight app, definitely, find the link. It's on our...
And find the wrestling you watch. Yeah. Watch the wrestling you like.
And that's the crazy thing, man. There's old school, like you said, some Southern promotions on there. There's some lucha stuff on there. There's a mixture in between. There's something for everybody. So just check it out. Yep. The link's on our website, of course. It's also, constantly on our Twitter feed and Facebook feed. Check it out. But the easiest place is just go to the website. The website, dude, we modified it. We made it. You people asked us and said you wanted it to be shorter. It's just tappedoutpod.com now. So you definitely go over there, check it out, amongst the many other things with our other, sponsors, the media player, all that good stuff. And you can also, by the way, find all the places you can subscribe to us there on the left as well. So check it out.
It's an amazing resource, an absolutely amazing resource for all of your tapped out stuff.
Did you
can
know
buy our merchandise?
It's actually one of the only.
Our show.
Yeah, it's also one of the only places you can find every episode. Because I don't know if you know this, iTunes only goes back to 300 episodes.
Oh yeah.
So the beginning of this travels are no longer like as far back on the iTunes screen. So you can go to our website and find the first at this point.
So if you want to listen to me and Nick bumbling our way through some early episodes, that's the place to go.
Absolutely. But let's get into bumbling, and I'm going to talk about a bumbling idiot. We don't even know who it is, but I'm going to bring it up because this is just a pet peeve of mine. And to be honest with you, it's been a pet peeve of mine since back in the, NWO, all the way back when in WCW, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At the 205, show, Kalisto is hit in the face by a bottle of water. It wasn't an empty bottle, by the way. I'm not saying it was full, but it wasn't empty. It was thrown by a fan, and it caught him on the face as he was laying on the ground outside the ring. I'm going to give you your take, but I'm going to say three things, and I'm going to give you your take.
Okay.
One, he's a babyface. You threw it at the wrong guy. I know everybody thinks you have the right to cheer who you want to cheer, and you do, but that's just stupid. Two, you're an idiot because you're going to get caught, more than likely, and you're going to get ejected at least if you're caught. You could be prosecuted for crying out loud because that's basically assault with a weapon.
You could wind up getting roughed up.
Yeah, you could get the shit kicked out of you by somebody on the security on the way out the back door because you resisted. You can't see my quotations thrown up there.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, you're just a bad human being to do something like that. The guy didn't, it's one thing to like, oh, I got injured in a match. I was in there wrestling and something happened. But some jackwagon who's not even in the match, thinks it's funny to throw a bottle of water and hit a guy who's not expecting it. He can't even defend himself because he doesn't know it's coming. You're just a bad human being.
Yes.
So.
It's not the 1970s where we don't know it's a work. We know it's not. The business is out there. We don't think this is really happening like they used to back in the old days, where they thought the baby faces were going to get killed, and there was and you would get so into it that you might throw up a quarter at a guy while he was cutting a promo or something, or hit somebody with something, or want to put Drano in a water gun and spray somebody. It's not those days. We should have come farther along as a human race and a society and developed where you don't do shit like this. Two, we also, we're going to throw something at something we know is a work. It's not real. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's not real. So why are we getting butthurt enough to throw stuff? It's not necessary. That's not how people should conduct themselves. And I mean, I'm not Mr. Callisto, but the guy, he goes out there and he works hard. There's no reason to do something like that to him. You're going to hurt somebody. I mean, if it had been something else, I doubt a bottle of water half full would hurt somebody, but you could have thrown something and hurt somebody.
Well, dude, think about it. If it caught him right in the eye, or it caught him in his, it could have broken his nose. If it was thrown hard enough, it could have like cracked. I mean, think about Austin Aries just went with a cracked orbital bone, around. I mean, you never know the right angle, throwing it hard enough. I mean, anything can happen, man.
And to where that guy was to throw that. Why the fuck are you going to buy a ticket that's over $100 to throw something at somebody like that? Seriously, you're going to waste that much money. You're going to get thrown out, and you're going to throw something at somebody for being a dumbass. But you bought a ticket that cost easily more than $100. Yeah. No.
So for the record, the tapped out guys say if you throw shit at wrestlers, you're a freaking idiot and a bad human being. That's just our take, and for that we're sorry. But no, we're not. What the hell am I saying? We're not sorry. You're a fucking idiot. So
yes.
So anyway, so kind of moving on, and it's bad news, and I'm disappointed in this bad news. The Impact viewership from last week is in, and it's 161,000. It's the worst viewership
That's tough.
ever, including holiday shows.
Yeah, that's tough.
And you want to hear what's worse? I actually thought it was a pretty freaking good show. I actually watched.
You watched it? Oh,
I did watch. I had, I try to DVR them now because, Lewis is obviously covering, he's got, if you heard us pitch the NXT Ring of Honor show earlier.
Yeah.
Well, we have two. The Pro Wrestling Personified Impact Wrestling Edition airs as well, typically on Mondays. And Lewis was telling me that it wasn't bad. So I've tried to get in the habit of DVRing them and watching them if he likes it and he tells me that's something I got to see. I mean, Laurel Van Ness defeated Rosemary to win the Knockouts title. It was women heavy. I mean, it was. Which we like women wrestling, so they, made sense.
Well, see, if it was women heavy, why didn't it draw more people?
Well, I don't know, man. It's tough to say.
I think
there was a huge thing that people don't want to admit. It was head to head with tribute to the Truth.
Oh well,
on Thursday, so that could have been
there's your sign, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you're not going to go up against one. That's patriotism. And two, it's a WWE product.
Right. And I know most people like to argue that the WWE fans aren't watching Impact. Impact fans aren't. It's clearly there's a crossover, and I would gamble to say that there's about 80,000 of them that are, because that's about, 80 to 100,000 is what dipped. So, that was probably your core of your issue. Allie.
Go ahead.
I know Allie won the number one contendership for it, but by the way, we met her at WrestleCade briefly.
Yes.
Very sweet woman, very sweet.
Yes.
So we wish her nothing but the best. And I just want to get your take on this because, we love, we want every promotion. And we say this all the time. We want every promotion to do well, more jobs for guys to work, more stuff for us to cover. I mean, more wrestling to watch if we choose to, et cetera, et cetera. But the next 2 weeks episodes are the best of 2017. So they're not going to be live shows. That could be bad.
Oh, God. I can't see why they're doing that unless they are trying to cover themselves while they relocate or take the break off because they're moving. You're following a bad show. Not a bad show, but you're following a bad a bad download number show with leaving. And it's leaving it out there and not having anything to show for it. It's... that's tough. That's tough. I can't see it doing well. I don't want to see people come back at 2018 and Impact's killed every bit of their buzz or anything they had or any movement they had going.
Well, the cool thing is I'm probably going to watch a couple of these because I have not watched a whole lot of Impact this year. So it may be a cool way for me to catch up.
That's not a bad idea. That's really not a bad idea. We could watch it, see what's happened this year, and kind of figure out a little bit more about the product.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought when Lewis told me that. I was like, you know what? It might be an easy way for me to catch up for the whole year. If they're hitting all the big points and stuff like that. But
that's logical.
So absolutely, I think that's the route I'm going to take. and try to catch up. But, cause, you know, lots of things have changed, man, over the year for, Impact. It's been a ever changing process. And, you know, like I said, we wish him nothing but the best. Cause I am a fan of Don Callis and they're, you know, and
yeah, well, maybe they're setting up for their regime. They're giving them a fresh start first of the year. They're going to go into 2018 with a different viewpoint.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of things that are changing, man, everybody in the, you know, there's a big buzz down in Orlando at the Performance Center. You know, Indy, and it's kind of my thing, man. And I'm going to say it's time to put up or shut up. Ricochet is looking to set, everything's pointing that he's joining the WWE in January.
Mm-hmm.
He's, you know, the 29-year-old kid who has tore up New Japan, Lucha Underground, PWG, the Indies, I mean, overseas, you name it. You know, nobody knows when
Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, well, there's that. Not sure when he's coming. You know, and I know everybody, you know, one of the things I read is, well, is he going to be in NXT or is he going to be on the main roster? And we've shared a very similar take on where he's going to go. And so I'll let you start with that.
Yeah, it's Ricochet, clearly, so he's talking about. I think he should start on NXT till he gets the WWE style. It's different, you know, it's a different style than they work other places. It's a lot more of a, professional style. They don't do all the crazy stuff he's been known for doing. It may be something that he doesn't work the style. He needs to spend some more time getting matches in with talent and on camera and doing that kind of stuff to get himself in the habit of working. I don't think he would be a good fit right away on the main roster. He needs to go to NXT. But to follow that up, I keep seeing rumors that people are going to go back and forth from NXT, not as demotions. People are going to leave the main roster to go to NXT to work for a while. I think that's a great idea.
We've said that for years, you know, for the last couple of years, that it'd be a great way to, if they don't have something for a guy, send him down.
Yeah.
Let him work with some of the younger talent, and there's his project.
So if you say he goes down, Ricochet goes into NXT, and then they would bring someone down to work with him to get used to the style, I think that would be great. You know? Is there anything that to me would be a loss in a situation like that? No. Maybe somebody's pride, that's all.
But I mean, if you're not taking their, you know, I guess I was going to say if you're not taking their paycheck away, but there's still going to be things that are going to ding. But some guys just, you know, even if it's, you know, the guy that's on the back end of his career and that's kind of his way to stay in.
Yeah.
You know, look, we're not telling you, we don't, you know, instead of releasing you, we think you've got a lot to teach somebody. Why don't you go down to NXT and, you know, work for 6 months, and if we come up with something for you, we can pull you back.
I would have loved to seen Austin Aries go down back to 10. We need to quit calling it go down.
Yeah.
But I would like to see
go over to NXT and
gone over to NXT and done some stuff down there before he was released. You know, that's a shame.
I think so too, but I mean, I think here's the thing. I like Ricochet, but I'm curious just to see, and everybody, I'm going to take a punch for this one. I know, I'm sure. Everybody talks about how great he is. But he's probably the greatest wrestler, you know, in the world who has only been seen by a certain percentage of wrestling fans in the world.
Yeah.
So we need to see how he's accepted in the masses, you know, 2 to 3 million people, you know, that watch on a Monday or whatever. So, and on Tuesday.
Well,
so.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta realize that sometimes you don't exist in the wrestling business if you're not on the WWE roster, because that's where people see you.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is not even in my notes. I just happened to come across this last week or sometime. I was reading through some notes and stuff that I'd seen online. Did you see that Bayley was on Edge and Christian's podcast?
I heard about that.
And did you hear what she said?
No.
She said that she had to come to the grips with that she wasn't as over as she thought she was. That she, she came out the first time on the pay-per-view. Remember, she was Sasha's partner. The crowd went nuts or whatever. She was like, but then week after week, she realized she wasn't as over as she thought she was down in NXT. You know, she thought she was hot. You know, everybody loved Bayley. The crowds were, you know, but then she hit WWE and it was kind of, meh. You know, she got a reaction, but it wasn't what she was used to. And that's, I think, what we're talking about was that, you know, you got to reintroduce yourself to probably a bigger audience than you've ever been seen before. And we're as guilty as anybody. I mean, I can sit there and tell you a guy that we love on the indies that we think is one of the greatest things in the world. But in the grand scheme of things, the percentage of the wrestling population doesn't know who that person is.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to introduce yourself to, you know, like I said, 3 million people on Raw. 2 million.
I mean, I think most people like us that have a Twitter or Facebook, that's the majority of wrestling and wrestling people. No, most people just have a Facebook or a Twitter where they've got a few wrestlers on there and they have the wrestlers they know. And that's what their world of wrestling is, you know? It's the wrestlers they know. They follow the Ric Flair, or they'll follow the Dean Ambrose or somebody like that. And that's what wrestling is to them. Not everybody goes into it as hardcore as the hardcore fans do. So,
I mean, most don't. I mean, like I said, John Cena's got like 40 million Twitter followers or something ridiculous like that. I mean, so that means 40 million people know who John Cena is. I mean, it's funny because people this guy's so popular, this guy's so popular, and I'll go to their Twitter page and it's like, you know, 40,000 or, you know, 100 at best, you know, and you're like, now I would take 100,000 any day of the week, but I'm also, you know, not John Cena and I'm not a pro, you know, kind of thing. So Facebook's the same way. You'll look, I mean, you'll go to tag somebody, John Cena, you'll tag, it's like 40 million. And then you'll go look at somebody who everybody talks about like they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And no disrespect, because I think he's a phenomenal talent. Yeah. But you'll look at somebody like Aleister Black, who's got like 40,000 or something, you know, or if it's that much, you know, you're just like, holy shit. So that's kind of the whole point of the population. The bubble's not as big as we think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. We're living in our little, I mean, I'm not saying our own little world, but it's a wrestling world.
Yeah. Well, then you have, like I said, the diehard wrestling fan is a subsect of a larger population of wrestling fan, you know, kind of thing. So, but anywho, let's move on to the big, I mean, I wanted to go to the big news and we haven't even gotten there yet. There's, you know, WWE finally officially announces it on Raw that the Women's Royal Rumble is coming.
Yes. This is awesome news.
I agree 100% with you. I mean, I did have some notes for questions that I wanted to ask you. It's funny because, you know, we're big women's wrestling fans here. By the way, WWE, if you're not paying attention, if you saw my tweet last night, cause I know somebody from there is listening, we really recommend, I said, hey, I've got a suggestion for the Women's Royal Rumble. And that suggestion is Camilla Kane.
Yup.
You know, so definitely WWE, if you're listening, check that out. That would be a great person to bring in general. Amongst many other ones that we talk, but I just think for some reason this show, we're such Camilla Kane fans because she's got the talent. She's got the look. I think she completely would fit in there. Now, is she in NXT in the beginning? Absolutely. But I think she's got I think she's on the inside track to get in there, and I think that's where she'll be eventually.
Well, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing someone out for a run at the Rumble and then sending them to NXT, because you got Ty Dillinger, who absolutely has just got himself shit on when he was pulled up from NXT to go to the Rumble, and I don't remember last time I've seen him since.
Right. He's a definite needs to go back to NXT. I would agree with you there. But my questions I had for you, on the Women's Rumble is, pretty simple questions. Is it over the top rope or is it through the ropes? Cause their typical pay-per-view, or their typical battle royal for women is just, they have to be thrown to the floor, not necessarily over the top. So,
I think they're going to have to go to that. Honestly, I really think they're going to have to go to that.
I mean, that's typically for safety for the women. I mean, they typically go for that.
I think they're going to go over the top rope.
No, I disagree.
I really do think the women are going so much farther that they're going to have to distinguish themselves, and they're going to have to take the same bumps the guys are taking.
Do you know why I disagree?
Why's that?
Because I think it's not so much the safety in the sense of like, oh, we're just worried about their safety. Your typical male wrestler is much taller.
Yeah.
So it's easier to get them over the top. Like Alexa Bliss's head barely goes over the top rope.
Yeah, that's a point there.
So throwing her over literally means she's going to have to go completely airborne in the sense of that she's got to go all the way over the rope, where you can typically clothesline a guy and he'll flip backwards over the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why I think so. Question number 2, is it 20 or 30?
I think I can probably do 20 easily. 30 would mean, that would mean more talent from NXT, more legends, things like that.
Well, that was actually my next 2 questions is, do they call NXT? Because they mentioned Raw and SmackDown women. That, is Ember Moon coming up from NXT? Is Peyton Royce or somebody, are they coming up from NXT? And then the $1 million question as I had is my favorite. We talked about this off air a little bit. Trish Stratus tweeted out, "Wear them boots." Like,
yeah.
Off the air, I told you, I think that Lita and Trish would be just for an old school, legend, if you want to call it that, entrance into the Women's Rumble. I think those are 2 names that would be a great choice if they go with the 30. Now you got to go with 30 to get there, I think, because what did we do the math a couple weeks ago? Now it's changed obviously since then, so don't run out and do the math and then text her or DM her.
I can't remember.
Wrong. It was something to the effect there were like 21 women on both rosters. If you took out the 2 champions, that puts you at 19. So we thought, oh, well, they'll throw one NXT woman in. Boom, and now you're at 20. 30, you get to add a few more NXT, women into the mix. You get to bring in like a Trish and a Lita or, some other, wrestler or whatever. Bring them in.
Nikki.
Who?
Nikki Bella.
Well, that's the other thing. The rumors are
Brie
flying
Bella.
that, well, Nikki's expressed interest. Brie hasn't said anything, but as my daughter, who's a huge fan of Total Divas, points out, that they have basically said they're coming back together on that show.
Ronda Rousey.
There's going to be my next question. Ronda Rousey's, now there was a fan art that was not a WWE picture that was flying around on Twitter yesterday with Ronda Rousey in the background, but everybody's talking about her coming in. Ronda Rousey could come in and lose and it really wouldn't be the end of the world.
No, it's the Rumble. I mean, AJ Styles came in last year and lost. It wasn't the end of the world. Had the best, or 2 years ago. I apologize. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
It's the best place to come in and make an appearance where you don't have to win and you don't have to look bad losing, and you can go over. So.
Well, and I even brought up, I gave you the booking, a fantasy booking idea, which, I never do, but I thought it was a cool way because everybody's like, well, how do you get Rousey eliminated without being a big deal? I'm like, well, let's have a woman from Raw win the Rumble. So she's going to challenge Alexa Bliss or whomever's the champion at that point. And the way you get around it is maybe Charlotte spears Ronda Rousey right out of the ring. They both hit the floor. They're both eliminated. Though I don't know why Charlotte would be in the match if she's the women, so I don't think she's going to be. So bear that with it is. Anybody. But, but if Charlotte did, think about it. If
Charlotte would have to drop the belt before then.
Well, my whole argument is what if, there's lots of what ifs. If, I'm not even saying if she does lose it. What if they let the champions wrestle and then they could, pick an opponent or they could pick, they could fight the other champion. You could have champion versus champion, to try to unify the belts or something. I don't know. Come up with a million things. But the point we're saying is that Rousey can, be eliminated without being beaten. It could be more of a fluke thing of, she doesn't get pinned. She doesn't submit. She just, she loses the match. But it's not a big deal to lose the Rumble. So that was kind of my whole take on the whole situation is I didn't think it would be a big deal. So, but but it's a great thing for women's wrestling. As you've probably seen, there's a million videos out there of Paige and Sasha and, being emotional about it, how psyched they are that it's going down. Think about this now. People don't think that Sasha Banks is, had a heck of a run or she's not living up to potential. Sasha Banks now has been in the first Hell in a Cell. She was in the first women's match over in Saudi Arabia or wherever it was.
Yeah.
And now she's going to be in the first Rumble match. I mean, are we going to get a money? You know, we had the Money in the Bank match. She wasn't in that, was she?
I don't remember. No, that was
it's
on
been
a
so
different
long.
program.
I think that was on
that was
SmackDown.
a SmackDown program.
Yeah, so she wasn't in that one, but she wasn't in that because it was on another program. I mean, Jesus, if it had been on Raw, she'd have been in there. So, but anyway, but let's, Rumble, big thing, man. We're super excited because why? It's the Royal Rumble, which is the road to WrestleMania. This is the time of year where,
because this is when things are going to pep back up. They made the announcement Monday. There's going to be a women's WrestleMania. Women's Royal Rumble, and the wheels start turning. And it's going to draw us in so that by the time Mania's here, we're all going to be back super WWE fans again. This whole burnout that you get around Christmas time, they're not even trying to make money right now. They're not worried about it. They'll sell their Christmas merchandise. They put out a program to fill time for the next couple of weeks. And then as the road to WrestleMania starts, things get interesting and everything will be fine. We'll all be wrestling fans again.
Right. Because let's go ahead and tell you, I'll tell you, the Raw viewership was 2.786 million was the average, up from 2.685.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is a however in their notes. I do want to, because we want to be fair. Impact had a rough week last week. I'm going to be fair. They did 3.083 million in hour one, 2.803 million in hour two. But hear this. This is scary in my opinion. Third hour went down to 2.47 million. That was a 20% drop for hour three.
Well, they're moving the stuff forward. They're putting the better stuff forward still.
I mean, that's a pretty rough, but but that was again, now we can go ahead and start because right out of the gate, they went heavy. I mean, they pulled the big guns in the beginning. They didn't wait till late in the show because Brock, Braun, and Kane all are in the ring at the same time. We find out that Kurt Angle says this is going to be the Universal title match. And I'm going to ask your opinion after I say this. I think it's freaking genius. It gets Braun out of the Rumble match, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, cause we all know the rumors are that we're heading towards Roman versus Brock. Well, how do you, if Braun is in the Rumble, and I know I'm going to completely contradict what we just said about Rousey, but Braun has been so dominant and such a big man. He's got to win the Rumble if he's in it. Don't you think?
Yeah. Or at least look really good like he did last year.
Yeah. So, but in this picture, he's not in the Rumble, so him not winning is totally excused. And then he cannot win the title, but not lose the match because Brock can beat Kane.
Yeah.
So Braun is completely, I don't want to say protected, but he's protected in this situation to where he doesn't have to not win the Rumble, and he doesn't have to lose to not go home with the title at Rumble. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. That's perfectly logical. It's going to be good for business. Get nothing hurt with the way they got this going. And, it'll draw eyes, and that'll be something that everybody's going to be like, okay, now I can pay attention, pay more attention to this again. I like it. I like to see it. I like anything we get the chance to see that, the Braun and why can't I say this?
Brock and the same.
Braun and Brock work together. It's good,
Yeah. Well, man, I'm going to tell you what's not good. Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
Apparently had surgery Tuesday for a right elbow injury. MRI said it was a high-grade triceps tendon injury. Told you that would struggle for me to get through there.
Okay. Yeah.
But
you haven't seen Dr. Andrews yet?
No, it was a different doctor this time. I actually did see it, and I thought the same thing when I saw it wasn't Dr. Andrews. I was like, "Oh, that's weird." But it was funny because you got worked into it. We were talking about it, but the injury actually was before Raw, and the angle was just used to basically write him off. So to explain the injury. So that was kind of
fair enough.
But. Are you going to miss Dean, or do you think it's good that Dean's going to be gone for?
I'm not Mr. Dean. I'm not anti-Dean. It's just I'm not really never been really the biggest Dean Ambrose fan. give him some time off TV, make him hot. That means the Shield is now out of business
again. Because we just went through a month with the meningitis reigns, and now we're going to go through, elbow Ambrose, and then we're going to, so the Shield just can't stay at full strength, man.
Nope.
That just stinks because I think that was actually working for,
they were
especially
working
for
real
Reigns.
Good. Yeah. It was helping Reigns get over. It was helping Dean have something to do. I liked it. I'm not a Shield fan, but I liked what it was doing for the business. So, I think that was good.
But speaking of what's good for business, brother, here we go. There was a little bit of backlash on Twitter about this, and I don't understand this. And I still just don't. I don't ever understand this anymore. Next week, Christmas, the man's coming that everybody believes in and everybody's been waiting to see all year, right? I'm exaggerating. It's John Cena coming back next week.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, he's going to
be the best Christmas present you could get. Every year, I wait for John Cena to. John Cena doesn't come down chimneys. John Cena just shows up in your living room, and you give him like some Transformer stuff, and we talk about what he eats, and he blesses your home for another year of cinemas, and good luck, and lots of money and merchandise to all. Gotta love it.
Kids love him. He might, we just said he's got 40 million followers or something.
Yeah.
On Twitter or Facebook or whatever. He's just, but I never understood the backlash of he can't wrestle and he sucks and I've seen him too much. I actually had somebody tweet that on my thing about him coming back. It's like, does anybody care, or could we care less that he's coming back? Or I'm like, dude, if you're shitting on John Cena in the business, I'm like, come on, brother.
Okay, we know the smarts aren't going to like him. That's just the way it is. But the wrestling fans like him. He's super popular. The kids love him. He sells the merchandise. He's their TV guy. He's the guy. And when every time he comes back, it's a massive pop. And it's good for business. Every time.
I think John Cena will be the wrestler that when he goes away, like full time, like gone, and he's gone for like 2 or 3 years, I think that's when the fans are going to go, shit, I really miss him. I wish he was back.
Yep.
And,
they'll be looking when Cena's gone. Like you said, when people realize what they've missed, it'll be a big deal.
I think so. I agree with you there. But dude, before we run out of time, we still got to cover SmackDown and some of this other stuff from Clash. So we're gonna punch through it pretty quick here. So we're gonna look
Mojo.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. Matt, we can lead with that. I know at Clash of Champions, we were both big fans of the Mojo intensity and viciousness that he unleashed in that match.
Yeah. He's a big, brutal guy. Good for business.
Did you happen to see the video, the little promo he cut before Clash that he put up?
No, I did not catch
You got to check that out because I'm not going to lie to you. It was probably the best promo he's ever done. And he did it by himself. It looked like he was in his garage or something at home. He just like had his phone or something and did a recording of a promo. It was probably the best promo he's ever done. I'll find it. We'll, put it up or something.
Well, that just says don't overproduce Mojo then.
Yeah. That's, it's funny because that's I just heard Gallows and Anderson on the Stone Cold's podcast saying that exact same thing. Like the best stuff is when it's not, it's, I'll give you a quick story, a sidebar, because I said we're running out of time. So of course I'm going to throw another story in. Basically they said that, the first, Southpaw regional wrestling that they did, that they tried to hand them scripts about it and everything. And they're like, can we just try it on? Cause apparently these Chad, Too Bad and other are characters that they had beforehand. Like they used to be they pretended they were these characters before they were even in WWE.
Well, that's cool.
And so they were letting them do them. And so they tried to hand them scripts for them. And they're like, hey, can we just do this on our own first? And if you don't like it, like, then you can write whatever, but let us try it. One take on the first Southpaw wrestling to get those. Mm-hmm. Because it was just them. Kind of the same thing. I like, maybe Mojo just needs to be left a little more, just be the intense, be the, the vicious, kind of character and, as a heel.
Yeah. I like it.
So, I'm saying he's off to the races, man. We was, and somebody, I think, it's funny, our buddies over at the Dorks are not big Mojo fans, over at the Wrestling Dorks. That, by the way, airs on Thursdays if you want to check it out on the network. Matter of fact, this week, just so you know, they're talking about this exact topic. They're talking about Mojo, tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, it's on Thursday. The Dorks airs at 7:05.
Yeah. Should be a fascinating show. I mean, Mojo is the shit, and if they don't agree, I have to say they're wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you, but let's jump up to the hot topic of, believe it or not, of SmackDown. A lot of people are talking about. I know I put it out there. Was Daniel Bryan turning heel, or with all this going on? Well, on Clash of Champions, Daniel Bryan does a quick count. We're going to zip through Clash of Champions pretty good because it was pretty forgettable, by the way, folks. He does a quick count. Gives Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn the win. And then on SmackDown, there's a confrontation in the ring with him and Shane McMahon. And he kind of stings pretty hard when he basically says, you're sounding a little bit like the Authority, and I did what I did to protect you from yourself because I don't want you to become your father.
Yeah. I don't want you to become a multi-million-dollar. Well, I mean, he is that rich, but it's... I just couldn't buy this. I don't buy anything Daniel Bryan does. And some people disagree. I just can't do it. I don't buy it at all. So.
I mean, later in the show, Owens and Zayn tried to, congratulate him, thank him, give him butter. And he's like, but I don't drink. And by the way, I didn't do it for you, and if you don't get your act together, blah, 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 I'm going to fire you myself, which was kind of a, cool little twist. But this whole segment, believe it or not, is supposed to be the main angle, and it was not the thing that I walked away like the most from on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
The segment that got me the most was, obviously, people were a little stunned at Clash of Champions when Dolph Ziggler won the U.S. title. He defeated Baron Corbin and, Bobby Roode in that triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
But then he strolls out on SmackDown. They did a big video package of all of the things he's accomplished. He's, how great he is, et cetera, et cetera. And then he simply just kind of says, basically it was more or less like the people don't deserve him. And he lays the title down, the U.S. title, right in the middle of the ring and just walks out.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means. Who has the title? Did he lay the title down? Did he, what do you call that? Abdicate?
Did he vacate the title? I mean, I don't know. And that was a cool thing. I tweeted that out and said that. Okay, I'm hooked. I at least want to see where this goes. I mean, cause I'm interested.
Yeah.
It might, like I said, it is easily the most interesting things he has done since the Miz angle that they ran, last year, I guess it was.
I agree because it got my attention, and trust me, he was losing my attention.
Yeah, and it's so crazy that he's such a great wrestler, and they just I don't know what it is, and how that we go through this constantly with him, where he gets hot and then he fades, he gets hot, then he fades, and it's I don't understand it, but I think it hooked me. At least I'm interested, so. There is that.
Yeah, it's get people's eyes on him again, make him interesting. Have him drop the belt, have him abdicate or become something else, or you can write whole storylines around this. It's not that hard.
Well, the only issue I had is a lot of people are like, oh, he's quitting, he's walking away, blah, blah, blah. Well, the problem I have is Natty essentially gave the same speech on, Clash of Champions when she loses to Charlotte, that she kind of gives you the impression that she's walking away.
But she don't have the belt.
She doesn't have the belt, but I mean, it's still like, it's a very similar angle, maybe is the word I want to use. If she's, threatening to quit or threatening to retire or whatever. Maybe she just does.
I mean, it's time for her to retire anyway. I mean, I'm not saying that she's not worthy. I'm just saying she was getting ready to retire. She's been talking about retiring for quite some time now. So
I would almost lay money she's not retiring until after that Rumble match. If she was, but, and that's all I had as far as now SmackDown goes. I know you had something you wanted to talk about the mixed match challenge that's coming up, and
yeah, I'm real curious about this because I think it's the greatest experiment that they've tried in wrestling in a long time. That they're going with something that we're not used to. They're going to put wrestling on Facebook. They're going to have wrestling that's going to be, it's not intergender, but it's mixed tags. So they're going to take their thing. They want to take the thing they want to show off the most with, put the best foot forward for WWE, and they're going to go with mixed tags, which I don't know why they picked that topic or that type of match. Yeah. Is it,
well, I mean, from what I'm being told though, is there, it's going to be on Facebook. They're going to essentially try to treat it as a whole, like it's just a separate universe, like the main storylines, the main angles, and that kind of stuff aren't really going to like affect it.
These are just one-offs?
They're like, kind of like, it's going to be like a one-off show, right? It's a, but because, we've heard the rumors of Braun and Nia as a team. There've been talks of maybe putting women, like, couples together, like, is it Jay or who's married to, Naomi? Is it Jay or Jimmy?
Oh, the Usos married to her.
Okay, yeah, but they're not both married to her.
Are they not both?
One of the Usos. Let's go with that. Whichever Usos.
Yeah, I can't tell them apart. Even if you told me the name of the guy, I couldn't pick them apart.
So, but Lana and Rusev maybe.
And why aren't they using that gimmick where they switch back and forth? They're twins. The only twins that don't use the gimmick where they slide in and out and fool the referee on who's who.
Because they don't look exactly the same.
Ah, come on now.
Yeah, they're not the conquistadors or something where they can just switch in and out. I mean,
well, they need to use that because I think it would work.
It could. I agree with you. But hey, maybe this is we talked about it a little bit off air that maybe this is an experimentation to supplement income if the TV deals are not as lucrative. Maybe they give Facebook a little bit of a, show for a certain amount of money. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's an interesting concept to say the least. So.
Yeah.
But brother, I mean, you got anything else? I mean,
I really, my favorite part of the whole show was the, Rusev and Aiden English and the New Day matches in Christmas costumes and Kofi as a gingerbread man. I enjoyed that. I don't know why. I thought it was funny. It was a lot of fun. I liked seeing the Riot Squad get out there and have a regular tag team match instead of beatdowns. Okay. I like that. I think it was fun.
And the reasons you like this is because one, we're not going to expand on this. Clearly, you're moving into the furry world. Two, you like women's wrestling for the second one, and so go ahead with the other thoughts.
Oh, now you done confuse me again because I don't like robots and I don't like people dressed up like animals. But this was funny Christmas costumes, which is different. You can do things on Christmas and like the holidays. You can dress up like people. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Like a giant elf on a shelf.
Like a giant elf on a shelf, as long as it's not sexual. I don't see anything wrong with it. If it's sexual, it's just weird as shit. I mean, it's legal still. But, I'm sorry, I just saw a childhood picture of Charles Ann Schultz. It popped up on my feed.
Well, hey, speaking of which, I mean, also, they got a show coming up. Was it December 30th?
Yeah, we'll try to get out to that.
Southern Fried, if you're in, we'll plug them while we're talking. Southern Fried Championship Wrestling, on December 30th. I mean, hey, check them out.
This is a lithograph. It's not even, it's like a 10 type.
There you go. But, all right. On that note, anything else before we bail out?
I got a couple things.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
I really want to congratulate Aja Pereira on getting booked to go to Japan. That's huge.
I did see that.
That's huge in wrestling these days. Congratulations. Also want to, I want to say something, just like my condolences to the family of Tom Zink. Tom had kind of disappeared for a while, so I don't think anybody has really got any clue what's happened to him. I haven't seen any like causes of death posted, but Tom has passed. And best wishes and our thoughts and condolences to his family and friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Tony Schiavone.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone's probably pretty shook up. I mean,
Tom's like dun dun dun. Tom's like dun dun dun.
I mean, I know they've had we've had he brought him back to, and I don't want to say to relevance, but it kind of did. So, but so anyway, like you said, always, condolences go out to the family. It sucks to lose anybody. So for that, I agree with you, but. I don't even really know how to segue out of that, man. So, but if you got any questions, comments, anything like that, you want to, you can hit us out, man. You can Tapped Out Pods pretty much. If you can remember that, you can pretty much find us everywhere because we are at Tapped Out Pod on Twitter. TappedOutPod.com is our website. Emails tappedoutpod@gmail.com. You see where I'm going with this? Twitter, like I said, Snapchat, Instagram, pretty much Facebook as well. But Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, anything that's pretty much Tapped Out Pod, you can find us. The only other thing I'd love to throw in there is make sure you go to the website. Like I said, we already kind of talked about it earlier. All the places you can subscribe to us. Not all of them are there, but the big ones are there. The media player in the middle, friends of the shows and sponsors down at the bottom, staff, schedule, all that good stuff's there. And of course, there's a link right at the top. We always tell you, click on that ProWrestlingTees.com link. It'll take you and you can actually check out and get one of the 2 Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network shirts. You're probably going to miss Christmas, but hell, start your new year off,
you want to look sharp. You want to look sharp for 2018. Make your resolution for 2018 to look sharp in a Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast shirt.
We got the original and we have the I'd Tap That, shirt. That's our hottest mover right now.
Yes.
So definitely check it out. And man, if you don't got anything else, man, I'm wrapped up. What you got anything? Sure.
Well, I've got to go today to get a goldfish, and so I can learn how to play chess with it. So I can understand more about what Mr. Hardy is doing. But besides that, I'm going to just tap out.